Divorced mom humiliated over useless gas station, then a 200 hidden treasure was discovered. In the heart of Maplewood, whispers danced through the air like fallen leaves in autumn, crackling with the kind of gossip that could either lift you up or tear you down. Sarah, a 36-year-old divorced mother, felt the stares from behind coffee mugs of the diner. Once a friendly smile, now turned into a slight grimace as she trudged past with her children, Jake and Lily. The gas station she inherited from her late father felt more like a weight dragging her down than a treasure trove. It was neglected, covered in dust, a useless relic according to the townsfolk. Just one more point of judgment in Sarah's already heavy load. Balancing 2 jobs nights at the diner and mornings cleaning office buildings wasn't easy, and every time she passed the rusting pumps, guilt sank deep within her chest. She wanted her kids to learn hard work mattered, yet she felt like a failure, a shadow of what a success might look like. Her heart broke for them, watching their faces as they overheard the whispers about their mom's struggles. Not mom, not her, she thought, holding back tears as she turned her head away from the judgmental glances. Then one fateful afternoon, while Sarah was restocking the shelves, an older man, a customer she hadn't seen before, strutted in, oil-stained cap perched on his head. He approached her with a toothy grin and a twinkle in his eye. "You won't believe what I found, miss," he said, holding out a tattered map he discovered behind a loose panel in the dilapidated gas station. Scribbled in faded ink were the words treasure, and in that moment, the air got electric, as if possibility had burst through the dusty windows. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The townsfolk, initially dismissive, found their curiosity piqued as if the prospect of a hidden 200 million treasure had ignited a spark in their dull lives. Old rivalries faded, and together they began to search for whatever lay beneath years of snickers and judgment. The neighborhood kids flocked to the gas station, combing through forgotten trinkets, energizing their community. The local handyman even rolled up his sleeves, grumbling about the place but showing up day after day, reinvigorating the shop. But skepticism loomed heavy like a thundercloud. One of Sarah's former friends, the judge, now a pillar of authority, scoffed at the whole endeavor, declaring it absurd, mocking the idea of finding anything valuable in that hunk of junk. For a moment, Sarah felt the weight of doubt pressing down again. That creeping anxiety whispered bitter reminders of her failures, but she steeled herself, recalling the unity and excitement blossoming around her. In that pivotal moment, she began to understand treasure's true meaning. Could it be the hidden wealth of ties binding friends and strangers together, sharing laughter and rebuilding connections? As Sarah's resolve hardened, she prepared to address the crowd gathered outside the gas station. She had something to say, to ignite their spirits even further. But just then, a shocking discovery deepened the map's mystery, setting up an unforeseen dilemma that might challenge their budding unity and Sarah herself. What would she do with this revelation? Would the community stay united, or would the storm come crashing down? The crowd buzzed with anticipation, thicker than the summer heat that hung in the air. Sarah took a deep breath, her heart racing with every second that passed. With Jake and Lily nestled close by, their innocent eyes reflecting a mix of hope and uncertainty, she felt their faith in her. Clearing her throat, she stepped forward on the cracked concrete just outside the gas station. Every eye turned toward her, and she fought against the swell of fear bubbling inside. "Thank you all for being here," she began, her voice wavering at first, then gaining strength. "I know things haven't been easy for any of us, but today feels different. This treasure hunt," she gestured to the tattered map clutched in her hands, "it's more than just about money. It's about us." Murmurs swept through the crowd, a mix of nodding heads and doubtful frowns. But her words pushed through the fog of skepticism. It represents hope. It represents the possibility of something better. The old woman from church, her eyes squinted in a way that revealed years of searching a kindred spirit cursed by whispers, caught Sarah's gaze, giving a small but encouraging smile. Just then, a commotion erupted at the back. A group of teenagers tugged at a rust-covered panel near the pumps. "We found something," one shouted, voice cutting through the heavy air like a vivid bolt of light. The crowd shifted, all eyes darting in excitement towards the sound. "What is it?" Sarah asked, her heart quickening. "A box," another kid yelled, his freckled face gleaming with excitement as he pulled a dusty metal container free. The air was electric with anticipation as Sarah rushed toward the group. She could hear the thud of her heart matching the rhythm of the growing energy around her. The kids cleared away dirt and grime, revealing more intricacies of the box. Sarah knelt beside them, exchanging glances of shared anticipation. But as they pried it open, unveiling a heap of tarnished trinkets, a collective gasp swept through the crowd. The treasures were old but not gold antique keys, faded photographs, rusted toys, tokens of Maplewood's forgotten past. Sarah felt a mix of emotions swirl inside her. Disappointment washed over her. This wasn't the treasure they imagined. Yet a deeper understanding began to emerge. These were remnants of the lives that once flourished here. A whisper of Maplewood's history beckoned her to realize what they held, a promise of connection older than the townsfolk's quarrels. But before she could speak, an even louder voice sliced through the crowd. The judge stood tall, her expression pivoting between incredulity and disdain. This is nothing. You're all better off with what you have." Her words sunk like stones into the hopeful waters of their enthusiasm. That attention rippled through the crowd, echoing Sarah's own doubt. Would the community discard the remnants, dismiss the stories for a shiny dream? "Wait," Sarah shouted, the emotional outpouring surprising even herself. "It's not just about the money. It's about our roots, our past. We're digging for more than gold." Her voice broke slightly as she turned to the older woman, who offered a nod affirming Sarah's call. But before they could reassess their excitement, the box shook slightly, and an unexpected metallic clang filled the air. The crowd hushed instantly, every look turning back toward that box, their expressions shifting once more. What lay beneath the familiar innocence? What deeper secret could remain hidden, threatening to tear their fragile unity apart? Sarah's heart raced with a mix of fear and uncontainable curiosity as the box continued to tremble, revealing new possibilities waiting to be uncovered. What would she discover next, and how would it redefine their journey? The crowd held its breath, the tension palpable as the box rattled, sending goosebumps crawling down Sarah's arms. Curious whispers floated through the air like autumn leaves caught in the wind. Sarah leaned closer, her fingers trembling as they brushed the cool metal. What lay beneath the surface of these discarded memories had to be significant, didn't it? "Is it stuck?" Jake asked, his voice barely above a whisper. His wide eyes mirrored Sarah's blend of fear and hope. Lily tugged at her mother's shirt, gazing at the box with equal parts wonder and trepidation. Then, with a desperate shove, a few of the teenagers pushed harder. The lid creaked open wider, revealing a small, intricately carved key nestled in a bed of crumbled newspaper. Gasps erupted from the crowd as everyone leaned in, entranced by the find. "What's that for?" someone shouted, breaking through the silence. Sarah's mind raced. Could this key unlock something deeper? Maybe it was a long-lost treasure hidden in an old, forgotten building, or perhaps an invitation to rediscover lost connections. Her heart raced at the thought. But just then, the judge stepped forward, skepticism tightening her features. "Do you really think a key is going to change your lives? This is just another relic of your past. Nothing more." The word struck like a slap. Anger flared within Sarah. She glanced at the people around her, their faces marked by a mix of uncertainty and determination. They were tired of being pushed around and told their dreams were worthless. Maybe the key isn't just to a lock, Sarah said, her voice strong despite the doubt swinging over her head like a storm cloud. Maybe it's a key to our future. She stood taller, taking that leap of faith as she held up the delicate object. Let us find out what it opens together. The energy in the crowd began to shift. One by one, people nodded, their eyes lighting up. Hope flickered in the air like fireflies at dusk. She could see it, a simmering belief that this small object could actually lead to something greater. Perhaps they weren't just digging for history. They were unearthing dreams buried beneath despair. Let us look around Maplewood. Lily chimed in, her voice bright, lifting spirits further. There has got to be something here that connects to this key. Encouraged, a few of the town's younger folks started a brainstorm, suggesting places that might hold the promise of more hidden treasures. Old houses, forgotten parks, maybe even the town hall. Ideas bounced through the group like a game of catch, and slowly but surely, the crowd transformed from skeptical onlookers to ambitious adventurers. Sarah's heart raced as laughter and conversations picked up in volume. It was like watching the clouds part and the sun shine through. They were revitalizing old relationships and reigniting the spirit of cooperation Maplewood had lost. But her pulse quickened once more when she noticed a shimmer from within the box that hadn't caught her attention before. Bending down, she brushed aside the last remnants of crumpled paper, revealing something glistening beneath, a weathered letter with an elegant seal. Her fingers trembled as she reached for it. The crowd quieted once again, curiosity morphing into anticipation as they gathered closer. "What is it?" someone whispered, breath held tight in their chest. Sarah looked around, the weight of the moment hanging in the air. She could feel the energy surging through her, the thrill of not just finding a key, but possibly discovering an entire world hidden right beneath their feet. As she opened the letter, the weighty silence bordered on electric. But what if the secrets within this letter could shatter everything they thought they knew about Maplewood's past? What if it revealed connections that deeper than they had ever imagined? As Sarah unfolded the weathered letter, the scent of aged paper filled the air, mingling with the curious murmurs of the crowd. Her heart raced, a thrilling anticipation coursing through her veins. She cleared her throat, trying to steady her nerves. "Let us see what secrets you hold," she said softly, more to herself than to anyone else. The crowd leaned in, breaths held, eyes wide with expectation. The seal cracked open, revealing the letters inside, beautifully handwritten yet faded by time. She began to read aloud, her voice steady despite the fluttering in her chest. "To whomever finds this letter," she read, "know that there exist dreams beneath these fields, a legacy worth reclaiming." A hush fell over the crowd, the words wrapping around them like a warm embrace. She continued, "Within these grounds are hidden treasures, artifacts of our ancestors meant to remind us of our roots and our potential. Find a hollow oak by the river, where the old stones rest." There, the heart of Maplewood beat still. A collective gasp echoed through the group. Sarah's heart raced wildly at the implication. Hidden treasures? Artifacts? It felt surreal, but also electric. This wasn't just about a mysterious key. It was a call to action. "Wait, the hollow oak!" Jake exclaimed, an idea igniting in his eyes. "I know where that is. It's south at the old park, near the river by the edge of town." Excitement rippled through the crowd, sparking chatter and animated gestures. People started nodding, their spirits lifting with each passing moment. What had once felt like a simple gathering now transformed into something resembling a quest, a mission that pulled everyone together. "This is incredible," Lily said, almost bouncing on her toes. "Imagine what we could discover." The crowd buzzed, but Sarah took a moment to catch her breath. She realized this wasn't just about uncovering buried treasure. It was about reconnecting to the history of their town, bonding with each other, and reigniting their collective hope. But as she glanced around, her eyes caught the judge again, arms crossed and a frown deepening on her face. The contrast was stark. While most embraced the enthusiasm with open arms, skepticism still loomed in a corner, casting a shadow. Just a letter, Just words this will lead to nothing, the judge muttered under her breath, loud enough for a few nearby to hear. Sarah's heart sank for a moment, but as she watched her friends and neighbors all lighting up with potential, she felt resolve swell within her. It's not just about the treasure. It's about who we become when we chase after it. Determined faces surrounded her, as she understood that whatever awaited them at the Hollow Oak, it was just as much about the experience and the people they deemed meet along the way. With newfound clarity, Sarah stepped forward. Are you all ready to find out what Maplewood really holds? Cheers erupted, echoed by the enthusiasm of youthful laughter, longing for adventure. Let us move. Together, Jake shouted, and the crowd surged forward like a wave, all along the dusty path toward the park. But as they hurried, an unsettling worry murmured in the back of Sarah's mind. What if the treasure didn't bring the unity they hoped for? What if it uncovered the bitterness buried deep in the town's past? Just as they reached the park, an unexpected chill swept through the air. The wind rustled the leaves, almost as if warning them. Just then, she spotted something half buried near the base of the oak, glinting like a promise amidst the dirt. Sarah knelt down, her breath caught in her throat, and whispered, "What if this is only the beginning?" A thrill of uncertainty wrapped around her heart as she reached for the object, her fingers brushing against the surface. Was she ready for whatever lay beneath? What secrets did this mystery still hold? With her heart pounding like a drum, Sarah gingerly pulled the object from the earth. It was a small, ornate key, its surface etched with patterns that glinted in the sunlight. The thrill of discovery coursed through her veins, and she dared not breathe as she held it up for everyone to see. "Look at this," she exclaimed, turning the key in her fingers. The crowd gasped again, this time in awe. Eyes sparkled with wonder, and whispers filled the air, each person leaning in closer, each face a mosaic of excitement and speculation. "Do you think it belongs to something significant?" Lily asked, wide-eyed with curiosity. "Maybe a box or a chest that holds the treasure," Jake added, his imagination running wild. As they gathered around the old oak tree, energy crackled among them. Sarah could feel the warmth of camaraderie bloom around her. She glanced at the judge, still standing apart, skepticism plastered onto her face. The shock of discovery wasn't going to sway her, but Sarah found herself wishing it would. This was bigger than a search for treasure now. It was about their home, their history. "All right, let us figure out what this key opens," Jake shouted, rallying the crowd. They began to scan their surroundings, eyes darting around in search of anything that resembled a lock. The park, normally a place for picnics and laughter, now felt like a hallowed ground steeped in secrets and potential. Sarah felt drawn to the old stone marker nearby, its surface chipped and worn, parts of it hidden beneath the creeping vines. Was it just her imagination, or it did seem to beckon them? "Over here," she called out, moving closer. The group followed, curiosity mingled with hope. She brushed the dirt away, revealing an inscription that sent shivers down her spine. "To those brave enough to seek it," read. Breathless, Sarah turned to Jake and the rest. "What do you think this means?" "It's a clue, definitely a clue." Jake jumped in, enthusiasm sparking across his face. "We might be on the right track. We just have to figure out what it's telling us." With a newfound mission, they tore into the surrounding area, digging cautiously near the base of the oak, inspecting the stones, and searching for any sign of a trapdoor or hidden compartment. But as the minutes turned into a tense half-hour, the excitement started to wane. The initial thrill gave way to nervous glances and hesitant voices. What if this path ended in disappointment? An unsettling silence settled over them, pierced only by the rustling of leaves and distant bird calls. Sarah could feel the weight of anticipation turning slowly into anxiety. She glanced at the judge again. Her frown deepened, as though she held the town's doubt. Maybe it's not hiding here," someone finally muttered, and those words hung heavy in the air. But just then, out of the corner of her eye, something shimmered on the ground to the left of the oak. "Wait, there!" Sarah pointed, heart racing. She rushed over, fumbling to uncover whatever lay nestled between the roots. Her breath hitched. This could be what they had been looking for, or just another false hope. She wiped away the dirt with shaking hands, exposing a small chest, intricately carved and surprisingly intact. Hope surged within her, pulsating through the air like an electric current. As she reached for the latch, doubts flooded her mind. What if this held less than they imagined? What if it only revealed more problems masked as hidden treasures? With every ounce of courage she could muster, Sarah gripped the latch. The crowd held its collective breath, drawn into the moment. The truth loomed tantalizingly close. What lay inside this chest could change everything or leave them wanting more. Was she ready for the secrets it might reveal? In that charged moment, she wondered, would they be united in joy, or would this uncover divisions they thought had healed? As she lifted the lid, the tension in the air was palpable, and all eyes were fixed on her. What awaited them inside the chest? The moment the lid creaked open, the air felt electric. All eyes were glued to Sarah, who hesitated for just a second, her heart thundering in her chest. What lay inside remained shrouded in shadows, but the anticipation was suffocating. With a deep breath, she leaned forward, peering into the chest. At first, all she could see were a few scraps of fabric and the dull gleam of no, it couldn't be. She reached in, pulling out what looked like an old torn map. "Is that a map?" Lily whispered, practically vibrating with excitement. "Hold on," Sarah murmured, adjusting her grip as she delicately pulled the map out into the light. The fabric fluttered like a flag raised in victory, revealing intricate lines and symbols that seemed to tell a story of their own. As she carefully smoothed it out across the chest, the crowd leaned in, gasping collectively. The Old Town layout? Jake wondered aloud, squinting at the faded ink. It looked familiar yet foreign at the same time, a tapestry woven with the history of their town, crossed with strange markings. "Look here," Sarah pointed, her finger tracing a path through the map. "This area is marked with a symbol that looks just like the key." The crowd gasped again, a mixture of disbelief and excitement sweeping through them. Could it really be leading to something? But as she scanned the rest of the map, something caught her eye. Just off to the side, there was another mark, a drawing of a familiar place, the old mill. It had been abandoned for years, a relic of their town's past, and often considered just a crumbling memory. Could the treasure be hidden there? Someone asked, voice thick with hope. "Maybe," Sarah replied, her initial excitement tinged with hesitation. "But what if it's just more of this?" She gestured to the scrappy fabric and old wood in the chest. "Even if it's just history, it's still important." The judge finally spoke up, stepping closer, her expression softening. "Your town's past matters more than you know. Maybe it's worth exploring just for that." The words settled over them like a warm blanket, and Sarah felt a flicker of warmth spread through her. This was bigger than just treasure. It was about understanding where they came from, what they had built together, and even what they had lost. Maybe this mysterious map could bridge some of the divides that had opened over the years. "Let us gather supplies," Jake cried, his eyes alight with enthusiasm. "We can head to the mill right now." "Yes," Lily agreed, her voice rising. "We're not just finding treasure. We're discovering our town's story." As the group surged back into motion, excitement blended with eagerness, Sarah felt herself being swept up in their energy. A sense of duty nudged her. She was leading them into the heart of their past. With determination, she stuffed the map carefully back in a chest, feeling its rough edges against her fingers. "All right, to the mill then." As they packed away, Sarah felt a nagging in her gut, a mix of thrill and anxiety. What if they found nothing? What if they uncovered something better left buried? The drive to the old mill felt like an eternity, the weight of countless possibilities pressing down on her. Finally, they arrived. The dilapidated structure stood tall, defiantly against the setting sun, casting long shadows that danced across the ground. With each step deeper into the grounds, the air thickened with secrets long held and stories waiting to be told. As they approached the old door, Sarah's heart raced. She turned back to look at her friends, each face painted with varying shades of hope and trepidation. They were in this together, on the brink of uncovering not just treasure, but perhaps healing old wounds as well. "Ready?" Jake asked, glancing at the door that creaked with age. But as Sarah reached for the handle, a sudden thought struck her. What if they weren't meant to find what they expected, but instead found something more valuable, something that would change everything? The door swung open, revealing darkness within, and she couldn't shake the feeling that they were about to step into a moment that would define them for better or for worse. What awaited them inside the mill could alter their past and shape their future forever. Would they be ready for whatever truth lay ahead? As the door creaked open, a rush of musty air greeted them, sending a chill down Sarah's spine. It felt like stepping into another time, a place where whispers of the past still lingered. The darkness inside was thick, almost as if the shadows themselves were alive, watching them, holding their breath. Sarah hesitated, the map crumpling slightly in her grip. Which way first? Jake's voice broke through the suspense. He flicked on a rugged flashlight, its beams slicing through the haze. The beam landed on the floor, revealing scattered debris and a thick layer of dust that had settled over everything like a forgotten secret. With an instinctive nod from Sarah, they stepped inside, the door creaking ominously behind them. Each footfall echoing, felt monumental, amplifying her thoughts, the thrill of possibility mixed with a tinge of fear. What if this treasure, this journey, stirred up more than just dusty artifacts? Lily pointed toward a corner of the room, excitement flickering in her eyes. "Look, over there." As they moved closer, the light revealed a series of crates stacked haphazardly against the wall. The wood was rotting, but there was an aura of intrigue about them. "What do you think is inside?" Jake asked, the flashlight casting a glow along the cracked edges of one crate. Sarah felt her pulse quicken. Only one way to find out. She knelt down, careful as she pried it open, her heart racing in rhythm with her breathing. The lid gave way, and inside lay what appeared to be old tools, long-forgotten relics from another era. "Not exactly treasure," Jake commented, though there was a spark of fascination in his eyes. "Wait," Sarah said softly, reaching deeper into the crate. Her fingers brushed against something cold and metallic. With a gentle tug, she pulled out a small, tarnished box, decorated with delicate engravings. The symbols resembled those on the map, sending a wave of goosebumps down her arms. "This might be it." Lily leaned in closer, her voice barely above a whisper. "Do you think it holds something special?" "I guess we'll have to find out." As Sarah fumbled with the clasp, anticipation mingled with dread. What if it was just empty? What if their hopes crumbled along with the box? With a click, the box sprang open, revealing a collection of shimmering gems nestled within soft velvet. The air shifted, a collective gasp swept through the group as the light reflected off the stones, casting a rainbow of colors onto their faces. "Whoa," Jake breathed, eyes wide in disbelief. "Is this real? We actually found it." Tears brimmed in Sarah's eyes. This was the treasure they had hoped for. Yes, but so much more. It was a message from the past, a reminder of dreams, lost and found again. But before she could respond, a loud crash echoed from the back of the mill, rattling the wooden structure around them. "Guys, did you hear that?" Lily asked, her voice shaking. "Stay together," Jake shouted, his eyes scanning the shadowy corners of the room. "What if it's just an old board falling?" Sarah reasoned, forcing herself to stay calm. But doubt crept in. They needed more than treasure now. They needed to understand what this place held. With a shared look of determination, they stepped toward the back of the mill, hearts pounding as the eerie silence enveloped them once more. Each step felt heavy with unseen eyes watching and waiting. As they neared the darkness at the end of the room, Sarah's stomach twisted in knots. They had unlocked one secret. But what if they stumbled upon something that shattered their discovery, something that would transform the weight of their find into something more ominous? And just as they reached the doorway leading deeper into the mill, a low rumble echoed from within, sending chills down their spines. What lay behind that wall was a mystery. They weren't sure they were ready, for would they find more than gems? What if the real treasure was the darkness waiting to be revealed? The air seemed to thicken as they approached the threshold, each of them sharing the weight of shared fear and curiosity. The low rumble reverberated through the wooden beams, mingling with their quickening breaths. Sarah glanced at Jake, who held the flashlight steady, illuminating the darkness ahead. His face was tight with concentration. Lily clutched Sarah's arm, her fingers trembling, betraying her excitement and apprehension. "What do we do now?" Jake asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "We move forward," Sarah decided, though inside, she felt the gnawing doubt clawing at her resolve. They had uncovered something beautiful, yet the looming shadows hinted at more darker history waiting to be revealed. As they stepped into the far room of the mill, the atmosphere shifted. The smell was even more pungent, decaying wood, and a hint of something metallic hung heavy in their throats. But it was not the scent that held her back. It was the sensation of being watched, as if unseen eyes followed their every move. The beam of the flashlight danced around the room, revealing another stack of crates, this time covered in cobwebs. Uncertainty churned in her stomach, but the thrill of discovery pushed her forward. They soon stood before an ancient-looking door, its surface riddled with cracks and rust. "Should we open it?" Jake's voice was laced with doubt, but Sarah caught a flicker of intrigue there, too. "Yeah, we've come this far," she replied, her heart drumming loudly in her ears. It felt like standing on the edge of a cliff, with unknown depths below. With shaky hands, she reached for the handle. Just as she turned it, the rumble echoed again, louder this time, shaking the dust from above. She pulled the door open, her breath hitching in her throat. Inside was a small, dimly lit chamber. The light flickered over the walls, which were adorned with faded murals and symbols that matched those on the map. But what caught her eye and the others was a pedestal at the center of the room, a singular item resting atop it that glimmered with an otherworldly light. "What on earth is that?" Lily asked, her voice trembling with awe. They edged closer, nerves electrifying the air. The object was a large, crystalline orb. It pulsed with a soft glow, casting vivid hues across the walls. No doubt, it was a relic of some significance, possibly tying back to the treasure they had just unearthed. Jake reached out cautiously, but Sarah knew she had to step in. "Wait, we don't know what it is yet. Could it be a part of the treasure?" He replied, his eyes wide with anticipation. A chill swept over Sarah as she thought about the stories she had read: cursed treasures, ancient secrets that brought misfortune. Or a warning, she murmured. The rumbling grew intense, vibrating through the chamber, sending a shiver down her spine. She felt the urgency to turn back, to escape this binding coil of history that ensnared them. "Maybe we should go," she suggested, the words barely escaping her lips. But just then, a strange sound echoed. It was a whisper, a soft call, urging them closer. Anxiety filled her veins, but against her better judgment, she took a step forward. What if the treasures they had found were merely the bait a trap set long ago? As she reached towards the orb, the air thickened around her, pulling her in like gravity. There was no turning back now. What awaited them? What would be unleashed at that moment? The secrets of the past stirred restlessly, teetering on the edge of revelation and chaos. Sarah felt a pulse of courage intertwining with fear, knowing they were on the brink of something monumental. Would they uncover the truth, something that could bind them forever? Or would they unearth a darkness that had long been buried? The orb pulsed again, and just as she was about to touch it, the ground beneath them trembled violently. The tremor intensified, a violent shake that rattled the very foundations of the mill. Dust cascaded from the ceiling, dusting Sarah's shoulders with soft white particles. She froze, fear electrifying her body. The eerie whisper grew louder, twisting into indistinct echoes that wrapped around them like tendrils of smoke. "Sarah!" Jake shouted, panic creeping into his voice as he staggered back. "We have to get out of here." But she stood her ground, an invisible force anchoring her to the spot. The orb pulsed rhythmically, as if it were alive. She could almost feel it beckoning her, its energy weaving into her veins. What if it held the answers? The connection to the past that they all sought? Lily tugged at her arm, desperate. Please, don't touch it. It feels wrong. Her gaze darted around the room, wide and fearful. The murals seemed to swirl in the flickering shadows, suggesting ancient stories best left untold. Just give me a second. Sarah insisted, breathless with anticipation and dread. I have to know what this is. As she slowly reached her hand toward the orb, the light emanating from it grew blinding, illuminating the room with a brilliant glow that danced along the wall. It felt like stepping into sunlight after a lifetime in darkness. Whatever history lingered in this space began to unravel before her, visions of past lives playing out in fleeting flashes. Suddenly, the ground heaved again, but this time more violently. The weight of their situation bore down on her, and she could feel the fear creeping back. The orb spun faster, and an electrical charge filled the air, an unexplainable force threatening to rend their reality. "Jake!" she cried, her heart racing. "Help me!" As if hearing her, Jake stepped forward, his resolve hardening. "We can do this together." He grasped her wrist, grounding her in the moment. With their combined strength, they pushed through the fear that engulfed them. The orb was powerful, a conduit of potential. Yet Sarah felt an insatiable urge to unlock its secrets for their own sake, and perhaps to heal the wounds of the past that clung to her like shadows. On three, Jake said, determination flaring in his eyes. Lily watched, wide-eyed, caught between awe and worry. 1, 2, just as they both shouted 3, the orb erupted in a surge of light and energy that enveloped them. It crackled like static in the air, wrapping around them tighter than a warm embrace. Suddenly, they were not just in the mill anymore. They were swept into a whirlwind of memories, colors swirling around them, each vivid and pulsating with life. As images flickered to life, stories of old spilled forth, of struggles and triumphs, of love and betrayal, each woven into the very fabric of this orb. Sarah gasped. These weren't just images. They were echoes of the people who had come before them, their voices reverberating through time. "Those are people," Lily whispered, a spilling from her voice. "Real stories." But then a darker vision broke through, an ominous shadow creeping into the light. It felt familiar, yet deeply unsettling. The room they had stood in was engulfed in flames, the people consumed by a darkness that stretched endlessly. No, we need to get out," Sarah shouted, adrenaline surging. Just as quickly as it began, the visions faded, snapping back to the dim chamber. But something had changed. The orb lay still now, a dull shimmer returning to its surface. Had they unlocked something, or had they awakened a curse? Breathless and shaken, they looked into each other's eyes, questions swirling, uncertainty thick in the air. Had they made the right decision? What would be their next step now that they flirted with something much bigger than themselves? As silence settled, they could hear a faint voice, still whispering, as if calling to them from deep within the shadows. What did it want? Whatever legacy they had uncovered wasn't quite done with them yet, and a new journey awaited on the path of discovery. Would they follow the call, or would the darkness win? The next choice lay heavy before them, and they felt every heartbeat echoing in the silence. The intruding silence was like a thunderous bell tolling, each heartbeat echoing in the dim chamber as Sarah, Jake, and Lily stood on the precipice of their past, their future intertwining in ways they couldn't yet comprehend. The remnants of the orb still shimmered faintly, its hold on them loosening, but its potential still dense in the air. "What now?" Jake uttered, his gaze darting toward the shadows that clung to the corners of the room. "Do we unleash something bad?" Sarah swallowed hard, her heart beating in rhythm with the weight of their decision. They had discovered echoes of Maplewood's history, powerful enough to unite them, yet possibly strong enough to unravel all they believed. But her mother's words came to her. Sometimes the past needed to be confronted to forge a better future. "We need to understand this, to hear what it wants to say," she replied, her voice steadying. Lily nodded, squeezing Sarah's hand. Together, right? Always, Sarah affirmed, meeting her daughter's wide eyes. They weren't just facing the unknown. They were stepping toward a shared transformation. With resolve, they took a moment to gather themselves. Instead of fear, a flicker of curiosity ignited within Sarah, urging her forward. The messages in the orb, they brought pieces of our town's faith and despair to light. We need to confront them. Let us explore deeper. The trio exchanged determined glances and turned towards the wall murals. Each color pulsed with life, some depicting joyful gatherings, while others held too much sorrow. If we can learn from them, perhaps we can mend our community. With newfound determination, they began to reflect on the images, tracing the timelines of their town in their minds. Together, they breathed life into the stories before them. Beginning from the joyous celebrations, they recounted tales of love, harvests, and triumph. Then, they faced the darker depictions, the quarrels of lost family, feuds that had splintered their community, the pain that had festered over decades. As each story unfurled, the air thickened with emotions. They were not just bystanders, but participants in this tale. See? It's all connected, Jake said, pointing at an emblem that bridged the two worlds depicted in colors. Maybe if we share these stories, we can heal. Like what we did at the gas station. Sarah's heart surged, realizing they had already begun to bridge the gap in their community. It's true. The treasure we found isn't just here, it's us, together as a community, rebuilding. The shadows around them flickered and seemed to draw closer, almost as if recognizing the triumph of their united resolve. We need to have a town meeting, Sarah suggested, excitement bubbling within her. Share what we've found, lift everyone's spirits, and dig into these stories together. Lily's eyes sparkled. In the gems we could use them, not for wealth, but reminders of our journey. Something to bring us together, like necklace pendants or a community trophy. Yes, Jake exclaimed, his face alight with inspiration. And the stories behind them, we can even incorporate them into the town as history. Turn this energy into something beautiful. As Sarah smiled at her children, a wave of pride washed over her. The gas station, once a weight on her shoulders, had turned into a stepping stone. Amidst the ruins of Maplewood's past, they had found hope, healing, and the promise of connection. The energy gradually lessened as they reached for the orb, setting it gently back down on the pedestal. We've unlocked its treasures, its truths, Sarah said softly, and together we will honor it. Outside, the sun dipped low, painting the sky with hues of gold. As they emerged from the mill, the glow of new possibilities warmed beneath their skin. The shadows lifted, revealing the vibrant community outside. People of Maplewood had waited, their curiosity palpable as Sarah, Jake, and Lily climbed down, bearing not just gems but stories bound together by threads of dreams. "We're home," Lily cheered, and laughter erupted from the crowd, revitalizing the weary air. Together, they ventured back, ready to share what they had uncovered. The atmosphere was electric with potential, and as they stepped from the mill, it felt as if Maplewood itself breathed a sigh of relief. They were no longer just searching for treasure. They were the treasure, each person a part of their town's fabric, intertwined in hopes and histories, facing the dawn of renewal together. The shadows of skepticism began to retreat, fading as Sarah spoke. Her voice held the promise of a community rekindled, grounded in the wisdom born from a shared journey through the dark, blossoming into a collective hope. Let us restore what's been lost and embrace what lies ahead, she declared, her heart soaring. As the crowd opened their arms to her, laughter and possibilities rang through the evening like music. Amid laughter and connection, a radiant new heartbeat pulsed in Maplewood. It was time to step into the future, and hand in hand, they would explore it together. And this was the moment, the beginning of something extraordinary, the embodiment of what it truly meant to be a part of each other's lives. So, are you ready to step into your own journey? Subscribe immediately to the channel not to miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. We need you more than ever. Comment your thoughts and feelings about this ending. And don't wait, not even one more second, to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to show your support. It's time to keep the flame of connection burning bright.